this threat that somehow or another the world's going to come to an end, and the threat of we're not going to be able to pay our bills is a bit of a stretch.
That was Texas Governor Rick Perry calling hogwash on the president's claim of economic disaster waiting around the corner on August 2nd. And this is Power Play. Thanks very much for sticking around, and thanks very much to Steve Hayes, who has been chaperoning today on set, making sure that I do not run this thing off the rails, and we are grateful to you for being with us. We just heard Governor Rick Perry of Texas, who is the we'll call him the theoretical front runner of the Republican field, the front runner in waiting of the Republican field. Basically, he was talking to a group about a tort reform bill they just passed down in Texas, and basically said, oh, debt ceiling, schmet ceiling. How much easier is it to talk about this stuff if you don't have to vote on it and you're not involved?
I think it's very easy. As we've seen from the presidential candidates, I mean, they can afford to say these kinds of things, and there are no consequences for them. They don't have to cast what I think in many cases will be tough votes. I mean, to a certain extent, you can look at what Rick Perry says, and if you parse it, I think, very carefully, he's not incorrect that, you know, you could see August 2nd come and go, and there are things that the federal government can do, to be sure, to avoid the kind of calamity that the president is talking about in the short term. But I don't agree with some of my fellow conservatives who think that a default is just not that big a deal. I think it's a huge deal, and there will be consequences, and the consequences, I think, will be, if not catastrophic, certainly deeply unpleasant. So I think it's important to avoid default for economic reasons, and then the argument is, what can the president do politically if you get to August 2nd, which everybody is talking about as the real, you know, the real date, the real troublesome date.
Right.
It's not. It's actually later.
Right.
But because it's been discussed that way for 2 months,
perception is reality.
This is a problem for Republicans potentially.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and declare a winner in our chat-off today, and the winner is Doug Marshall, who says compromise equals Obama getting his way. So it's not, Doug, you didn't really provide a question, but I think you got to the heart of what I wanted to talk to Steve about.
Compromise,
right.
Yeah, right.
That's right. Some say compromise equals Obama getting his way, but I think, you know, to Doug's point, the distrust in Washington is so profound of President Obama that among Republicans, you know, I wrote about it this morning in the Power Play, which you can get every day at foxnews.com/politics. I write it for you. Please read it.
It was a good piece. That was very smart. I think you're exactly right, by the way.
Blind hogs and acorns. But the thank you. The point, though, is that Republicans think that Obama is such a liar, that he's making it up, that anything he came out for, any word that he said that said, I think this is a good compromise, would immediately drive Republicans away from it in droves.
And you heard that from Congressman Yoder earlier today. Look, I mean, I think there's some reason to believe that. You had the president last week at his press conference where he had this sort of vituperation about House Republicans and the current situation. And in the course of that press conference, the thing I thought that got most overlooked was when the president mocked House Republicans for sticking to their no tax increases pledge. Right. And, you know, your sense is that the media and the sort of conventional wisdom purveyors in Washington all nodded their heads along with the president. It was just a striking moment for me where I thought, are we really to the point where the president of the United States is going to mock people for not only making promises, but for politicians for making promises, and for doing what they told the people who elected them that they would do. And it is where we are right now, and I think that's a sad state of affairs, so it's no wonder that people are so skeptical of what the president says.
So as the clock runs out on us, how is this going to play out? Give us your 45-second version of what's going to happen.
I would say that you're likely to see some kind of, I think Boehner probably passes. I don't think they would actually push for the vote unless it were going to pass. I think it passes, probably not with a lot of spare room. I don't think that, I think the Senate out is exactly as you described it to Senator Carper, where they amend it in one way or another, probably taking us through the election rather than this two-stage process that Boehner has pushed. But it maintains, I think, the broad parameters of what Boehner has pushed, and the president reluctantly signs.
Well, you heard it here first, but please still watch Fox News Channel tonight as the drama unfolds, even though Steve already told you what is going to happen. We're thankful for you.